Hi guys, my name is Aamir and welcome to Chalchitra Talks. The Suicide Squad came out in theatres all over the world on 6th August and has been the most talked about film since then because this is the film we should have got in 2016. I still remember how depressed I was after watching the abomination against comic book films known as Suicide Squad. After watching some of the best comic book films that year, it was a big letdown. I remember how I destroyed the ticket out of anger over DC. Of course, the main reason behind this movie being amazing is the mastermind behind this film, James Gunn. But wait a minute, let's take a step back and look at what went wrong with the original film and how DC redeemed itself with this movie. Back in 2014, when Marvel had already made a lineup of movies till the year 2019, DC wanted to play catch up and they announced their lineup of movies till the year 2020. And kicking off this lineup in 2016 was Batman v Superman, which sadly bombed at the box office. This failure and the success of Deadpool made Warner Brothers think over what went wrong so that they could make changes to their next film, Suicide Squad. Unfortunately, what WB took from the success of Deadpool was the lighter and funnier tone, and in order to make Suicide Squad a funnier film, in contrast to the director David Ayer's darker film, they hired a trailer making company called Trailer Park to re-edit the entire film to make it more like the new trailer they had just cut with the Bohemian Rhapsody song. Guys, don't you remember the excitement we all had after watching that amazingly edited trailer? But because the trailer team re-edited the movie, the whole film felt like a trailer. There were like 4 needle drops in the first 5 minutes itself. This infuriated the director, who then expressed his feelings saying that this wasn't the film he originally made, and he described his original cut as a soulful drama. Meanwhile, in an alternate universe called Marvel, a person called James Gunn had made a name for himself with the blockbuster Guardians of the Galaxy, in which new characters were introduced in the first 45 minutes and we were made to cry for them by the end of the film. I mean, we cried for a raccoon and a tree. How often is that? He then made the sequel to that film in 2017, but in 2018, Marvel fired him because of some offensive tweets he had made years ago. DC saw this as an opportunity and hired him to make any film he wanted, and surprisingly, he chose The Suicide Squad, a team of villains sent for missions. And if they retaliate or something goes wrong, they are killed. And I have to say, The Suicide Squad is not only the best DCEU movie so far, but also one of the best comic book films ever made. There are so many characters in this movie, and even if a character gets a few minutes, nobody feels wasted. Gunn takes some of the weirdest characters and makes you fall in love with them. There is a character called Polka Dot Man interacting with a shark god who doesn't even know how to talk properly. But it's entertaining. The action sequences are in broad daylight, so you can clearly see what's going on instead of checking the brightness of your laptop. Gunn makes an all-out action comedy. And while the comedy in the original film felt shoehorned, here it feels very natural because the characterization is so on point. The stakes on the other hand are so high in this movie, because you never know who's gonna die, and guessing who's gonna stay alive by the end of the film is an exciting game in itself. Also, this is a standalone film, so you don't need to remember anything from the previous films or be burdened by setups for the upcoming DC films. On the first viewing, it may seem like an entertaining film, but on the subsequent viewings, you'll notice all the small emotional character beats that Gunn has sprinkled all over the film to touch the hearts of the audience. I think what DC has learned after so many failures is that giving the filmmaker freedom to make whatever he or she wants is the best thing. Of course, it may not always turn out to be successful, but at least the filmmaker will be making the film with all his heart and be happy doing it. The next film DC has lined up for us is Robert Pattinson's The Batman, and it feels like DC has given full freedom to the filmmaker to tell the story however he wants. I think this is how DC can compete with Marvel, not by replicating their success, but by doing what they're best at.